Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Franklin here, and today I want to do an honest review of the Crown Tundra. Now you might be wondering, well, why the hell you didn't make a review video during the first couple of days of Crown Tundra? You couldn't got all the hype over there. Well, the reason being is that I didn't want to make a video in hindsight, because as we know, hindsight in Pokemon games can be very misleading. In retrospective, however, there's a much more better way to view certain stuff from a critical standpoint. The first thing I wanted to talk about of the Crown Tundra is that obviously it is 10 million times better than the Isle of Armor. Now, the reason why is because the landscape. Take a look at the landscape, and I'm actually going to pull up some video footage of me going around the Crown Tundra. And obviously, it's automatic to me to assume that if there's any types of snowy areas in Pokemon and they're significant to the story or particularly some quests, look how beautiful this landscape is. Even with snow, there's obviously sometimes the sun's out, but it is a very beautiful landscape overall. Now, for those of you who don't have the DLC, you might be questioning whether the $30 is actually worth it. I think while I do think the DLC that probably maybe shoulda coulda woulda been cheaper, I do think the majority of the value is going to come from this second portion of the DLC, because you cannot buy the DLC separately. You have to buy them together under a $30 value. Is it worth $30 for me? I don't think so, but I do think you get all your money's worth, or nearly your money's worth, here rather than the Isle of Armor. Now, let's talk about the main core of the game. In terms of the new characters, Peony and Peonia, I think that they have a very complex, not very complex, a very simple relationship. The daughter is embarrassed by the dad because the dad is trying to do too much. That's very relatable to me. And anytime there is characters in Pokemon games that can be relatable to a bunch of people, I think I have to give them a plus to Gamefreak for actually developing complex or simplistic yet very realistic relationship between characters in in any Pokemon quest or even the main story. Obviously, it's not main story because it's post story. Now, in terms of the quests, there are various quests that you can do. There's the Regis, there's the birds, there's the Swords of Justice, and then there's the Ultra Beasts. Now, the birds are very phenomenal in the way that they're roaming. They actually brought roaming Pokemon back, and it's been a long time since we got roaming Pokemon back. Outside of probably the Ultra Beast, but I wouldn't really consider them roaming since they're in a specific area. It's an actual good adventure, must say. Whether or not you both think adventures should be part of any Pokemon game, I do think that the quests here are very well paced. They're okay. Well, actually, I shouldn't say okay. They're actually pretty good. The Regis are on a nostalgic feel as they bring back a classic feel as compared to the Braille system that they had in Generation 3. And it was pretty well built, I must say. And getting the Regis was actually phenomenal. And the new Regis obviously are very interesting. And I'll talk more about why limited move pools might be the way for new Pokemon for possible generations to come. That's if we get to those kind of generations. The birds, like I said, roam. I will talk about a little bit more about them in this video in regards to why the Pokemon lore and the multiverse and all that stuff is starting to become a little bit messy for us to actually dissect, and it's pretty hard to interpret what's going on with Pokemon right now. And last but not least, we got the Swords of Justice. Now, the Swords of Justice it's kind of misplaced in this DLC, because I personally believe that the Swords of Justice were already part of the wave of Pokemon that return in Pokemon Home. So adding them again doesn't really make any sense, because they're very easy to obtain in later generations of Pokemon. And so, very interesting placement that they have. But you can get Keldeo, which is very surprising, because the first time Keldeo has ever been gone as a static encounter, which is, again, very interesting. Last but not least, we have the Pokemon coming back, obviously with a brand new Pokedex. And I'm about to show you the Pokedex right now. We ended up getting roughly about, I would say, north of 100, a little less than 100 Pokemon. I don't know the actual number. And then we ended up getting more and more Pokemon down the road as well, with the legendaries coming back in Dynamax Adventures. Especially, I love seeing Pokemon adapt to the new generational power creeps over the years, and this one is no exception to that, because not only do these Pokemon get brand new moves, they also become meta defining as well. And I think it's very cool that they end up becoming part of the metagames. Like, for example, Regieleki is probably one of the strongest electric types and the fastest ever. Regidrago is very interesting, but very limited move pool. Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. Now, these Pokemon are kind of interesting because it doesn't really explain as to why these Pokemon came to be. Why do I have a shiny? But anyways, I think someone traded that in a giveaway, but I still released it because it's illegal. Anyways, these Pokemon are very interesting because I really like the designs. Like, these Pokemon, the new Pokemon that we got, I really like the designs, and they represent what the Pokemon is supposed to be. Now, in terms of the new Pokemon, like the horse Pokemon, these were kind of out of nowhere because they were not really data mined, right? And there was not really any rumors prior to the DLC until certain people started to data mine, and they found out there was a horse and there were fusions. In terms of Pokemon designs, I really, really like them. Except Calyrex. Calyrex is dumb as shit, but I really do think that they actually were trying their best to create pretty good Pokemon. And the fusions, it's just a Pokemon sitting on top of a horse. Come on, Gamefreak. You can do a little better than that. You gotta infuse the horses into becoming like stronger horses, not riding each other. Jesus Christ, Gamefreak. But yeah, I pretty much like the designs of the new Pokemon, and they're kind of competitively viable too. Glastier is pretty much good in Trick Room, and it's actually pretty monstrous in VGC. Spectrier is pretty good in singles format, and it has a pretty good typing because ghosts in this metagame are pretty damn good. And the fact that it has a limited move pool, and I'm actually going to go into it now, that Spectrier, Regieleki, and Regidrago are Pokemon that don't have good move pools, but have interesting stats and phenomenal sometimes, depending on how you view them. And I think Game Freak down along the road might be wondering, well, if you want to have a balanced competitive format, we might have to make Pokemon stats that are pretty damn good, like phenomenal and probably game breaking, but we need to limit their move pool because we want to balance the game out. That's the ultimate goal that they're trying to reach. And so by limiting their move pools, it prevents those Pokemon from becoming absolutely busted, which in hindsight, it's pretty good, and in retrospective, it might be pretty damn good as well. So that solves that problem. Now we're going to talk about the biggest feature here in the Crown Tundra, and that is the Dynamax Adventures. Now, I must say, it is pretty funny that when a mechanic is introduced in a generation, it doesn't get really emphasized a lot. And so what I'm trying to say is that in 6th generation and 7th generation didn't really introduce anything in regards to Mega Evolutions. Look at 7th generation and look at Mega Evolutions. We didn't get any new Mega Evolutions. There was no story about them. They were just simply added in the game. As a matter of fact, they're post-game items you get for Battle Point collection, which is very strange. But in this game, we have Dynamax, and the Owl Armor didn't really bring anything new to it, just new Pokemon that can Dynamax. But in this case, with the Crown Tundra, you're able to pretty much, it's a basically kind of like a battle system where you can use Dynamax in order to get legendary Dynamax Pokemon, which is pretty cool, I must say. And unfortunately, however, they didn't introduce new Gigantamax Pokemon, which is very strange because they didn't really add nothing new outside of the new Pokemon. And you would think that the new Pokemon would get Gigantamax Dynamax forms, but they don't, which is a bit disappointing because if your main feature or main mechanic of a Pokemon game needs to be the gold standard and you fail to upgrade it or even add more to it, it kind of seems very strange. And it's been a very baffling trend of Pokemon over the years. Like Mega Evolutions, Z moves actually don't fall in that category because we did end up getting new Z moves. And matter of fact, there was a Z move with Necrozma, the fused form, that it actually became a super busted Pokemon. Which, again, you would think that they learned from Generation 7, but they really didn't. Anyways, the biggest quality of life addition in this game was the ability patch. And at this point, it makes you wonder that I think Game Freak may be onto us. Because the ability patch, and as we're about to check right now, you can get it from Dynamax Adventure. Then I don't want to go too much about the adventure because it's pretty straightforward. This is the best shiny hunting option you can get. The unfortunate thing is you should pair with 4 other people instead of 3 other AIs because the AIs kind of suck. And the Pokemon you get aren't that great unless it's a straight up counter. And I think it's worth it if you are a shiny hunting person who actually cares about that. The Dynamax Adventure thing is 100% worth it because your odds are actually 1 in 300 to get one if you don't have the shiny charm. And if you do have the charm, it actually goes all the way down to a 1% chance of you encountering Pokemon in your Dynamax Adventure, which is pretty good odds compared to the historic 1 in 4,096 chance. So I think it's really worth it. Now, the biggest quality of life we ended up getting is the brand new item, and it's the ability patch. And as I said earlier, the ability patch is, I think Game Freak may be onto us because the ability patch allows you to change a Pokemon with a regular ability to its rare ability. And that pretty much confirms that quality of life in regards to the Pokemon Company or Game Freak. They want us to start playing competitive because they give us vitamins for discounted bulk, which is pretty good because there's infinite ways you can get money in this game. We have the mints, we can change natures. You have the ability to transfer egg moves from parent to parent as long as from the same species. And now you have the ability patch. Now you can pretty much customize your Pokemon without using external third-party software. I think Game Freak may be onto something. But anyways, I think the ability patch is pretty good, especially for shiny hunters who don't get the right abilities when they breed Pokemon. And voila, you can change it with the ability patch if you want. Now, in reference to the Pokemon, competitive-wise, we didn't get any move tutors, which I think it's okay because the moves we gotten, such as Scale Shot, Triple Axle, and Misty Explosion, and Grassy Glide, and Scorching Sands, and all those cool moves, are starting to make more of a metagame impact as the new Pokemon are dropping in this from the new DLC, which, in theory, it seems like we don't really need any more move tutors. And last but not least, we have the bad stuff. Is there anything bad about the Crown Tundra? Because so far I've been saying good stuff. I will say the bad stuff is superficial. And the first one I'll talk about is the Pokemon lore. Like, we know the Galarian birds came from somewhere, but they don't really expand too much on it. And me as a Pokemon fan, what I like about Pokemon the most is, the connection between the story. Like, where the fuck did the birds come from? Or how were they formed? How come they already existed in the same timeline that the Cantonian birds existed? It doesn't make any sense. And then next up is the fusions. Like I said, I really didn't like the fusion of Calyrex and its horses. Very strange. The main story itself of Pokemon, I really liked it in this DLC because you actually have to go on an adventure, and if you want to make progress, you have to explore the various parts of this region. Unlike the Isle of Armor, where you don't have to explore the whole thing to complete the quote-unquote quest. But in this portion of the DLC, however, you have to explore the various regions of the Crown Tundra. And last but not least, like I said, I'm kind of disappointed that there wasn't any new Dynamax forms, or Gigantamax, I would say. Which, again, like, if you want to emphasize your main like your main mechanic of the game, I would think that you want to do that by simply, you know, add more forms just to get people more enticed about it. Because I'm pretty sure your official competitive game is VGC, and yet you're not adding more stuff to it, especially Dynamax or Gigantamax wise. I just find that very, very strange. And so, yeah, that's pretty much about my. Look at this beautiful scenery, by the way, with this tree in the back. That's pretty much my honest review of the Crown Tundra. Not that I didn't really have much to say. But anyways, if I had to rate this game, it's definitely better than the Ala Armor, and I think the Crown Tundra is an example of something Game Freak can definitely do good at during a generation where it has received a lot of criticism and a lot of justified and unjustified criticism as well. So if I had to give this game, I would probably rate it. Perhaps I would rate it a 9 out of 10. Definitely way better than the Crown Tundra. We have Dynamax Adventure, which explores shiny hunting options with while maintaining the mechanic. The new Pokemon are pretty cool outside of the dumb design of Calyrex and the fusion, of course. We get an instant quality of life update, which is kind of huge. And the quests in terms of story is pretty good. So I will say that if you wanted to get the Crown Tundra, I highly recommend it. Now, you don't need, like we always say, you don't need the Crown Tundra to get these Pokemon. You could simply trade them with your friends or whoever. But I do think it is pretty worth the money here. And the Ala Armor, while disappointed, this definitely tries to bring it back to life. So, pretty good, I will say. Like I said, I'll probably give this a 9 out of 10. In terms of competitiveness, in competitive format and all that, new Pokemon get new moves, which automatically is a plus. So I'd give that a 10 out of 10 on their part. They made Pokemon not busted by giving them a limited move pool, which is unfortunate, but I understand their ideas of balancing games because we don't want to keep getting more busted Pokemon and it becomes a pain and all that stuff. And then they end up getting banned. So pretty good so far. And yeah, I've actually have enjoyed more time on the Crown Tundra than Ala Armor because Ala Armor faded out very quickly for me. And Crown Tundra, in retrospective, is pretty good, and looking forward to whatever Game Freak has in store. That's if they don't screw it up. So anyways, guys, it's your boy Franklin signing out. Peace. We also ended up getting 3K subs, so I appreciate everyone's support. And yeah, looking forward to the next giveaway with you guys. And yeah, see ya.